So I just started podcasting here in the house, and one of the very first comments on one of the very first videos was, how do I make the podcast look so good? And well, it's a lot of work, but I'm going to walk you really quick through all this tech, all this stuff that I have behind me. We have a special guest coming today for the podcast, so we had to set up a third microphone and a third camera angle and a third light. So we'll make them look good. So I'm going to show you guys all the cool tech. Yes, I normally sit here by the computer, use the Rodecaster, which we'll get to in a second. B usually sits right there. That is her microphone there, hooked up to the Rodecaster, and her light. And usually this light also is kind of her key light, and that's kind of like a halo light for her. This light over here is now going to be on her and our guest who will sit next to her. And how we figured out that we'll do a microphone for them is just this little dynamic microphone right here on a stand. I figured a dynamic mic because they don't have to have too much microphone control. They can be a little bit far away from it and it is okay. Now, when I am on the podcast and I'm sitting here and that is my microphone, how do we make me look so good? Well, we use the Canon R back here with this 200 millimeter lens. Let me get that on for you. Recording now, shooting straight over to the chair over there. So this is usually the angle that you guys see when I'm talking right over here to Christine. The only difference is right now, no light is on. Let me turn the light on. So bright. That's what lights me up all nice for the video. This is the Canon R5 with a little 35 millimeter on it. And that is what I film Christine as she sits here with this microphone and these headphones. And this is the camera angle you guys see of her. Usually this is more of her in the center of the frame. However, today we moved the camera a little bit so that way we have the guest that's gonna be sitting there as well in the frame. Let me get the light on for her. There you go, because this side of the room is really dark. Now this brightens up this whole side of the room, and hopefully this for the guest. And I'm gonna get the third light on and sit in the guest's third spot. First I have to move Christine's notebook that she writes all show notes in of things she wants to talk about. And then lastly, this will be the guest spot with their dynamic microphone. And you're inside this camera angle up here, but also I did one last thing. Just as a little backup shot, we have that whole couch on a GoPro. Everything's shooting in 1080 except for the GoPro, which is shooting in 4K, only so that way I could crop it in either on the guest or Christine. And I'll probably do the same thing up there, actually, now that I think of it. I should probably put that in 4K as well, so I can crop in without a little pixelization. But that's it. 3 cameras, a Canon R5, a Canon R, GoPro Hero 10, 3 big studio lights, 3 microphones. This one is that dynamic mic, and then we have 2 Rodecaster mics, hooked all of them into the Rodecaster 2. So that's how we make the magic happen in a very, very small office inside my basement, but we make the podcast look really, really dope.